Hello, everyone, and welcome to the 428th Knowledge Seekers Workshop here on Thursday, April 14th, 2022. This is a broadcast of the Keshe Foundation Spaceship Institute Education Department and part of the Public Teachings in English. My name is Rick Crammond, and I'll be a host today. And we are hosting Mr. Mehran Keshe of the Keshe Foundation once again in these weekly series of Knowledge Seekers workshops. And I believe he's ready to go. Hello, Mr. Keshe, are you there?
Yes. Good morning, good day. As usual, wherever and whenever you listen to this series of Knowledge Seekers, series of Keshe Foundation from KFSSI. We welcome you back, and we try to, as usual, share knowledge, understand more, and to try to develop more understanding of the science of the universe than the science that the man has found. We have perfected more or less the knowledge of the matter state, and now we have entered the nursery of understanding the knowledge of the creation of the universe. Before we start teaching, there's a number of things has to be said. As of today, if you are especially Portuguese, you have a direct translation on the Telegram in the background. And from next week, we have the other languages. If you are appointed by your organizations or by groups, the language to be there, you have to get in touch with the Keshe Foundation. Then this becomes more what you call automatic. Rick can explain that more detail. This gives us a new facilities that you get simultaneous translation directly on the teaching and gets recorded, and then you can add it to it, or they can do transcribe to it. We try to expand this as the organization like Telegram make these facilities available for us to be able to use, to be able to reach more people in an easier way and simultaneously. On the other hand, today is the 14th of April, it's the day of Moja. And coincidentally happens to be on the Thursday. We celebrate this day as the day of Moja. And it's part of the important part of the Keshe Foundation program in space technology. We have extended the knowledge and understanding in a vast way over years. If you listen to this intro this morning and just look at the first title, the first images, it says Knowledge Seekers number 270. Multiplied by 2, that's 540. So we're in 440 something. It goes back 200, more than 40 years ago. We started teaching, bringing the knowledge of the soul, the existence of the soul, and how we can work with it. And we have developed it step by step over years. This is part of the separation between the past and the future for mankind. Stay the citizens of this planet or become members of the universal community by UFOs or by understanding what we call the hidden energies, the hidden source within the man to achieve this. Many people go back into understanding more and more through the process of the interaction. It's like becoming a marathon runner. You're not born a marathon runner. You understand what can bring you and what you want to achieve, and you train for it. 1 kilometer for a few weeks, for a few months, then 2, then 3, then 1 day in the training, in the process of development of developing the right muscles, the right breathing technique, the right whatever, with the right coach to train you how to consume energy and release energy in different part of the race. You do your first marathon, and then you get that, what I call immense joy that you achieved. You did what was to be the marathon. To you, important. It could be anything, not just a marathon. Achieving you want, you have worked for to achieve. Be the head of a company, you work for 20, 30 years to get to that point. Owning your own business, you develop the position that you have everything that when you achieve that point, you know how to manage. The understanding of the work of the soul of the man is the same. It doesn't come just by teaching. You have to understand how to, the way it needs to be done, the way you have to have the understanding of doing it, and then be able to be humble enough when you understood is achievement you made. Then you teach the others, and you perfect the process yourself. How I can go out of my dimension of the physicality where I still can see the physicality. I'm aware of it, but I'm free. I could do this at the age of 10, 11, 12 years old. But age of 12, 13, I perfected the art. I can leave. I could see the physicality on the bed. I could see my physicality sitting on the chair, but it was there. I'm going for a trip. I'm going to come back. Exploring the depth of the universe, trying to understand the position of the galaxies, trying to understand the movement of the fields, trying to see the hidden part, which is not visual. This became an occupation. This became part of the life to understand the process. What I teach you is not theoretical, is what I have been through. And I know a number of knowledge seekers who have achieved it, but they cannot take it further. When you are detached, when you sit above and you see your physicality, and you can do it day in, day out, you can do it daytime, you can do it nighttime. Just to see, to perfect, what happened this time? Oh, one day I nearly fell down back into the physicality where I didn't want to go because I wanted to go somewhere else. This is not theoretical teaching. This is understanding there's another tool. I used to wake up in the morning and my father says, you got to go to school. And I said, how can I tell my father that I already know why am I going to school for? But I got in the car, I went to the school, he dropped me off, I learned the knowledge of the man. And through the dimension of the souls and what to be, I knew at the age of 12, 13, I need to do, to be what I was brought to me for the knowledge of energy, fields, and nuclear. And if you meet anybody who knew me at that age, I always said, I want to become a nuclear physicist because that's the way to break through. And they used to laugh, young boy, now it's tradition. And I made it, I became, because my soul set me up that way. And when I look at the progress, the decision was made by the souls. I just followed, I just read the script. We all have that capability. It's just understanding the detachment. Understanding. Detachment is not that I'm going to live like a hermit, become detached. No, detachment, the way done before, going into exile and living on a stone for weeks and going through hunger is over. That was the way people could understand. You can live the most luxurious life. You can be the most educated man. You can be the professors. You can be the doorman. Understanding the work of the soul does not carry human paper certificate and job description. It's you who has to educate. And I always said, I never lived a poverty life. I don't live a poverty life. I live according to what suits for me to be in the society where we can influence. You cannot go to be the head of the Keshe Foundation with an old banger, with the jeans and torn trousers, and try to tell the professors. They just laugh. They just become a lunatic enough. When you go dressed as they are, more educated than they are, this is when they listen to you. This is the fear of what I call educated, especially in the scientific world, because now they understand they have no education compared to what you carry as a knowledge in gases, in evolution of the science of the field, and how we can extend this, how we can bring this to what we call to the front. You let the others do what they want to, but if your part, if your what I call ambition and target is to achieve that point, that you can travel with the dimension of the aircrafts, to carry the dimension of spaceship or the soul, it's you who makes that decision. And that decision made by you will frame you to the life of physicality in that position till you are aware of the work of the fields of the universe. I'm told many times, Mr. Keshe, you do this and you do that, but I don't do. Whatever I have thought, I have done. Whatever has happened is the way it was set to learn. As I said many times, we come to earth to learn the ways of the life of physicality, that we do not fall when we go to another dimension with the soul in a dimension of physicality. We know what the fire does. We know how to transfer materials. So you cannot live in the dimension of soul and say, that's it. You have to understand what's the other end of the equation. If the soul energy goes in the dimension of the physicality, and then you become the holder of the life of the soul. It's the same as the book number 1, book number 2, and the book number 3. Man has left the book number 2. Now we are teaching book number 3 and how you transmute between it. You cannot go from one to the other if you don't have the knowledge. Man has gained enough knowledge from the dimension of physicality for what we call the spirit, the soul of the physicality. And now we have taught and we teach the dimension of the soul. This way, between your soul and the soul of physicality, which is that light of transmutation, there is no messengers. There is no one to fool you. There is no one to take a message and translate it and change it the way they want. With a new understanding, with a new dimension of understanding the operation of the soul of the man and soul of physicality, which you live every day by it, which you don't realize, you have never realized how closely your soul of physicality and the soul of your body works together in everyday existence, then there can't be any mullahs, there can't be any rabbis, there cannot be any priest or any intermediary, because the only intermediary is you within yourself. This is where the day of promise has come. Promise of the freedom of the man from the shackles of abuse in the dimension of physicality, poverty, hardship, or abuse in the name of religion. Because now you can live in both dimensions. You are in charge. You are responsible for it. And you cannot blame no one. But you have to go through that training to become a marathon runner. Once you get addicted to become a marathon runner, it's very hard to stop. And some people lose their lives in the training because they don't get it right. They push it too far. They somehow cut the lines, formation and reality and the fact of point. The beauty of it is we watch the marathon runners, New York, London, wherever, and we watch for 2.5 hours, maybe 3 hours, seeing them struggling, seeing them enjoying, rejoicing to be the first to get to the end of the line, the second or whatever. Or at least I managed to finish the London Marathon or New York Marathon or whatever. But what we don't see is the day before, the week before, the month before, the year before, what that marathon runner went through to get to this point. The training, the self-confidence, the things which are put in front of him, the injuries that he has to overcome, the failures that he has to, the things he has to sacrifice. Instead of going for a dinner party, tomorrow I have to run a marathon, forget about dinner party that every family and everybody else is. This weekend, we remember the crucifixion of Christ as Easter in the Catholic Church and the following week in the Orthodox Church. What's the meaning of this process? That you just look at it, buy an egg, put a tree and some chickens and the chicks under the tree and put some eggs in the garden for children to find, or in the Orthodox Christianity, boil some eggs and meet each other and see which one cracks under the head of another egg to win. But what is the real truth which is lost in this process of Christianity? The story of the crucifixion of Christ, the conversion of the physical to the dimension of the soul, and the turn of the soul back to physicality. Christ as a man went on the cross. He separated in that dimension on the cross to the dimension of the soul. Went from book 1 to book 3, using the transformation of life of the man. And then he transformed back to a man coming up the cross and walked away. Man has taken it literally by word, but in fact, it's a teaching what you have in book 1, 2, and 3. Which way do you want to go? He completed the cycle in one day. Then it wasn't there. Then his soul flew. Why wasn't he there? Because the soul of the man took the dimension of physicality and became a man and traveled across to North Africa into northern France and Spain. Sorry, northern Spain and France border. So up to now, you learn it through mysticism. Now you learn it through science and understanding and technology, that you can become that Christ. You can become the man who can move to the state of the soul to go for a dimension of physicality, and from the dimension of the soul, come to physicality. This is what we say, the man with the knowledge we have given has reached the status of the prophet of the past. Because you can do scientifically what was done as a magician and became a magic, and now we celebrate it and we do everything else. Tomorrow is a Good Friday. And what happens by Monday or by Sunday? Or where have our priests, popes, have lied to us because they never understood? They never understood the point of transmutation, the crucifixion of Christ, the resurrection is exactly what you have in book 1, 2, and 3. Now you have the capability to do it scientifically. You have the enhancement units being built. You have the teaching of the use of the MAGRABS, energy, plasma direction. Everything is being given to the man. So, in a way, If any of you knowledge seekers understood the teaching from 270 knowledge seekers program till now, which is 447, 48, you could have done what Christ did. He understood how to go within the inner self, that the energy of the inner, which is the soul of the man, is more powerful than man, that can take the physicality of the man within it and then become the light, and then return it back into it, and then become another man. The man, the way you go from earth, from now to moon in a monkey suit, and then you still have to be in the monkey suit, or you learn to go from the earth to the moon and walk the way real the physical life will be on moon with the dimension of restriction of it, and live a life as a man of the moon, as a person who lives in the dimension of it. And this is exactly what Christ did. In a way, Keshe Foundation teachings is the teaching of what you like as Christian to call resurrection. In the world of Islam, you call it the return of Mahdi, which is the return of soul of Muhammad. We had his teaching in physicality, we had his soul, and now the promised one is the collection of the return of the soul of Muhammad, blessed his name. Not something else will come. And the teaching of him will be for you as man to understand the transmutation. In the teachings says that man become complete understanding of everything when he understands the transmutation of elements, as we said many times. But in the new understanding and completion of knowledge of the man is that when the man understands the transmutation of fields, magnetic fields, that in their motion they become energy, and the energy can become anything. We get the copper, we create zinc and gold from it. In a way, we do what happened to Christ. We take nothing, we give it the soul of the Creator, and we make a gold out of him, which is the soul of the Christ. The same with Muhammad, and the same with the soul of Moses, but not the man as Moses. Then we come to understand that the totality of the teaching comes to one point. We all come from the same sun. We reflect like a mirror the beauty of that sun. But we do not become the sun because we are made of it, we are part of it. But we never become of it, become totality of it. The teaching of today, as is Easter, what we call weekend, is to understand the truth about resurrection. And finish with a dogma of lighting a candle in the church at a certain time in Jerusalem or somewhere in Nazareth, something else or whatever. We are not looking to be magicians. We are looking to understand the process of the creation, and that we become citizens of the universe. You transmute your physicality into the strength of the soul of the man, travel across the universe, and on planet Zeus, on Mars, or wherever, you return back to the dimension of physicality at the point and the place. You resurrect yourself. In a way, we are familiar with this, but we have denied it because we couldn't understand it. You call it a dream. In dream, you're the presence of your mother, your presence of your friend, presence of somebody else you never met. You see accident, you see gathering, but how come? You allow the soul, which is in the dimension of the soul of the man, to travel and then get into parties or get into accident or see what's happening. And then you manifest yourself there in a dimension of physicality. How come you call it a dream? What is the reality of the life? We do the transmutation. We understand the process, but we never accepted it. We have the capability of it, and we need to be that marathon runner to be. What can I do? I want to see my brother in Washington, where I'm in Tehran. I want that, what I call transmutation. I make that trip because I want to. The desire to see my brother is so strong. I make that connection. I open the cage. I go to my brother. I sit down and have a coffee with him. I have a chat with him. Call him the next day. Did you have a feeling I was with you? Because you interacted with that dimension of the soul. He says, yes, I felt something, or no. Then you know the first yes, you have learned something. You desire to be rich, you work at it. You desire to understand the work of your soul, you work at it. But don't lie to each other or to your soul. It's not making a map. It's understanding the elevation of the soul, how to bring the energies, the fields of the universe to become connected to the soul of. This is what we do in the flight enhancement units. In some cases, many of you will go into the enhancement unit, you travel where you want to be, but the enhancement unit never moves from the ground. But you do the trip because we allow that elevation, that what I call transmutation, reduction in the field of the, what we call the spirit or soul of physicality, that the soul of the man is free to take his dimension. In a way, if you look at the, what I call the teachings of a few weeks ago, when I explained to you in the Linz Exhibition Center, we'll send one person from this side of an object from this side of the bridge to the other side. We are not doing anything else but what we are teaching. It's the evolution of the time for us. And some of us would like to be, but we cannot understand it. But we become the tool for the others to achieve what we have not managed to understand. That one day from them, one time from their experience, we receive the elevation to understand. We are here to serve, not to be served. In a way, this weekend or next weekend, if you understood, you have reached the station of understanding of the knowledge of the Creator in the name of Christ. The resurrection, the evolution, the transmutation. You call it in the name of theology, resurrection. We call it in the name of science, transmutation. No difference. Man has chosen many names for the same process. And this is another one of them. And if you can reach the dimension of understanding the way you transmute and you reach the process of seeing your mother and seeing your father were past years ago, you can target the strength, the devotion of the Christ, bless his name, and meet with him. Because now the cage of physicality is not buried somewhere. The freedom of the soul is free to be in touch with and to be part of, as part of the universal life. I do a lot. I heckle a lot. In the past few months, those who've been very close to me, they know how we've been heckling to get everything sorted, that we create a condition, that we raise enough capital, that every man in every part of the world has that opportunity to be free. I'm here to serve. It does not matter what name people put on it. For freedom of the man, I beg and borrow, because man is physical and needs to be done. Otherwise, we just put the transportation system on and we just chuck out tons of gold. We don't need you. It's the test of the understanding of the process. And that's what I said many times, how much knowledge seekers, many of you in the background know, have offered properties, buildings, land, God knows what to the foundation, and I've refused. But when a need comes, I go to the knowledge seeker, says, this is the need for what it is today. We haven't taken a property that we sell today to be able to do something tomorrow. Because it's a test for the soul. It's a test for man or for me to understand. I have to go through the physical condition to understand what the operation is of the totality. Many of you will come to the point that they say, oh, this is what he meant, now we understand. But that time wasn't clear. Because you understand the need, the necessity for that to be done. Goes by the writing of the prophet. We test the fire with gold. How much is the heat of the fire that can melt the gold? Then we test the man with that gold. How much that gold worth attachment that will melt the soul of the man to be detached from it and become part of understanding and becoming the wealth of the what we call the universe and the man as a creature. This weekend, you will, if you are in the Western world, what you call most of the dimension of non-Islamic might hear a little bit of it, or in the Jewish, you cannot escape from it, in Jerusalem and the rest of it, the resurrection. And in the later teachings, it becomes by Muhammad and the others, transmutation. The same word, the same understanding, but both for the freedom of the soul of the man. But now we understand what's the energy and the strength field of the soul of the physicality, what we call the spirit, that we know what is the soul of the man. And then we can transmute between one and the other. Manifest here, manifest there. You don't need to get into the car, you put the dimension of energy and so on. In a way, I understand this because as a nuclear physicist, I have to understand how we can change energy to matters. And the secret was the hidden fields within the atom, within the electron. Because you can become anything, you can become any number, as long as you stay in the state of plasma. Then you decide to be gold, to be a cell of a man, to be a wood. Then you understand the process of what we call the emotion of the man. Then you go into the process of understanding that the emotion of physicality has a direct connection to the emotion of the soul. And then you have to be able how to transmit between the two. and how to benefit from one to another, and how to be part of the totality where you're there to serve. The Keshe Foundation in the past 6 months has gone through a huge burden, has taken a huge step, and we tested those who are loyal to the name of their soul to the limit that we can get this achieved for the whole of the human race, that we can step by step bring the totality of the man into operation, to understand, to elevate, to change. Because when we change one, the others need to change, but we have to have the resources that it can be done and is strong enough to do to bring that change. I carry the soul of the Creator and is strong enough to do. But you have to be there to tap into my soul, to receive it, to elevate, to understand, and become the passenger of the universe the way we are. Then we all reach the state that we can understand the strength of the love of the Creator and know, which the love is the condition of giving. We don't ask you to go and burn candles and do this and the rest of it. Go and understand the knowledge of the creation as much as we can teach and you can understand, and we develop in the coming times. We are the messengers. We are those who bring the message of the science and ethics together. And in that process, as universal messengers, we understand the totality from A to Z as we are part of the soul of the Creator. We understand our position as we are part of the soul of the physicality of the man. We understand that position too. But we can transmute. We can bring knowledge in pieces that man and the other citizens of the universe, when they come to the point of creation and existence, can go to it directly and do not need to go through what the rigmarole the man has been over billions of years. In a way, we have brought a unification to the science of the creation and the creator. What was the knowledge of the creator now has become the knowledge of universal community. Even though each village, each satellite, each planet had created, developed their own knowledge of existence and lived by it. Some jumped further, some jumped less, some understood, used part of it and still got stuck with it, but they never went to the next step. They got stuck in the UFOs, they're stuck in the ships, cars, or whatever. Then you come to one point. How much in the past teachings of the dimension of physicality, in the dimension of the energy fields of the universe, you have educated yourself. How much you have understood that you can go through that point of transmutation. How much you can sacrifice, how much you can give, that allows the others to reach elevation. How much you have to let go, that it comes to the point that the totality, what we call the freedom of the man's soul, become more important than individuality. And that goes back to Abraham and the sheep and sacrifice. The sun, for the freedom of understanding the beauty of the Creator. I sacrifice the sun and don't expect much. But I know the freedom of the man to be able to be released from the shackles of what we call Those who have shackled man to this planet in the name of religion had to be broken, had to be opened up, and sacrificing a son was worth more than it. Because I know he'll be with me one day. But that day is the day when it's right, when it's time for it to be, not when I choose. As I told you, we come here to understand the pitfalls of the man, with pain, with crucifixion, with martyrdom, with whatever. Then we understand what the solution to it should be. And it's the same for every level. Till we don't understand it, till we don't feel the emotion of it, we cannot find a solution for man to be freed from the shackles of abuse. Then you understand what is there for you to achieve, what is there for you to find elevation, not for us. As I said many times, you shall not find what I call temples and the churches of the Keshe Foundation. You find institutes of the Keshe Foundation to teach, to elevate. You find the technologies of the Keshe Foundation that you can use to understand more and more. One day you pick a cup, you drink from it, which is made by the Keshe Foundation technology, and that triggers you to understand the process of creation. That's why we do everything else while we are developing, elevating the soul of the man by putting back what this planet did not provide at the point of inception. Through its magnetic and gravitational fields, through its inertia, there is a misconduct of the work of the field, and has made the man to kill, has made the man to destroy. And we cannot come tomorrow and tell you that this is what you do. You have to learn it yourself. You have to believe in it, and you do anything to get to it. Because that elevation, when you see the change, when you see what it brings, then you bring the others into it, and then without knowing, by drinking the waters, you elevate the soul of the physicality and the soul of the man, and then somewhere down the line, out of nowhere, you come to the point of understanding the enrichment and understanding the creator and the creation and transmutation. You can be in the deserts of Africa or in the most luxurious buildings in New York. You need to reach that point. I remember when we opened the Keshe Foundation in Ghana, in Nuclear Center in Ghana Atomic, and when we start producing the waters, plasmages, whatever, and people start by word of the mouth to understand that these waters can help with diabetic, can help with this, and can help with that. And they tested and they worked and they came to buy it. And the soldiers in the nuclear center, they became aware of it because they used it. Most of them had diabetic and they saw everything goes. What happened? Nowhere in the world you can walk next to the nuclear reactor in a security zone of any nation. The soldiers of Ghana Atomic opened the doors, and we could see man and woman walking like an ant line to the center to buy a bottle, to buy a gans of whatever, to go back, and then there was more coming. We had to do that in Ghana. We do now this in the exhibition center in Lens. We have opened the doors for the knowledge, and we have knowledgeable people. Mario is there. Herbert is joining in to transfer the knowledge to you, to understand the totality, not bits of everywhere. When you go through 1 or 2 hours of what I call the exhibition understanding, you understand the totality of the meaning of the knowledge of the Keshe Foundation. It does not matter who you are. Then you understand the time for change has come. And then you understand the next step is to come. The coming of the Mahdi, as is believed by what I call Iranian clergy, will be the maturity of the man to understand the process of the transmutation, not the manifestation of the man or an object. And when, I don't know how many of you are, when the clergy in Iran to understand this come, that will be the day of the judgment for their souls. And when they put the turbines down and bow to the knowledge of the Creator, not to the Keshe Foundation, not to Keshe, and not to any other, but to their own soul. The maturity of the understanding brings the peace, brings the next process. And we do everything to do that. You knowledge seekers, every Sunday, the spray, paint, whatever you do, 12 o'clock lunchtime and 12 o'clock, 6 o'clock dinner time, that you bring down synchronicity to bring all the elevation of all the souls. And this is part of the same process. We make the enhancement centers. We do everything else we have to do. You can't sit down to die. One day you're going to be dying. There is no time limit when you cannot work. Age of 60, 65, retirement is a joke. This is where the most of the maturity of the knowledge has come, and you put men on the bed of death. There should be no limit when the man stops contributing to extension of the physical life or the soul. It's the same with Vatican. Vatican retires the priest at the age of 65. Don't pay them anything, and the pension starts at 70. Where do these poor priests of Vatican going to find life for 5 years till they get patents from Vatican? Abuse the soul, to abuse the others, then abuse their physicality. We're not there. If these priests understand the process, what we call most of the clergy in Vatican are in the same dilemma. By age of 65, or when they are not accepted, they're put on the street because they did not abuse enough souls. We know members of what we call Vatican who are in that position. They come to the Keshe Foundation begging for financial support because they have decided to put them on the street. And what do you do with a man who served for 5 years while he's from the 65 to 70? The abuse is not just by the physicality, they abuse their own soul within what I call frame of body. This is the whole process to understand. Maybe today, this weekend, give from your soul for the clergy, for the religious people of the world to become aware of their own dimension, of their own existence. That they do not need to wait for somebody to call himself Mahdi or Messiah or whatever, but they become to understand the strength of the soul of themselves, that they become the Messiah of their own soul. The beauty of it is we're just messengers. we spend time, we give our message, we make sure the guidelines are observed, and then man wants to see that the cycle of physical life finishes. So we die in your eye, but the soul is the same soul, carries from Moses to Christ to Muhammad to others and to you, and there it goes to the next step. So we understand one thing from this weekend. We had this discussion before for Easter. Maybe now you understand more. Use the science and technology, as it said in the intro. We have published a paper that the station of the scientists and the prophets is the same. As one is just explaining the connection between the fields of the universe and the man, you call it the soul, the ethics, and one which does on the matter state, that it creates you energy, and creates you water, and makes you the food you eat. But in essence, now the two are the same. The feeder of the soul and the feeder of the man is the same knowledge, it's the same science, it's the same message. It's you who have to understand it and bring that change in. We'll bring that change into process this year, without the shadow of a doubt. Then it's how much we can change the situation, how much it is. Keshe Foundation has directly approached the Israeli authorities to start peace negotiation with Iran, with the full knowledge of the Israeli government and the Israeli, what we call, organization, and with the knowledge of the Iranian authorities. Because we are taking the knowledge of the spaceship into Tehran. Iran can land, the Iranian forces can land in the center of Tel Aviv without them knowing. We are, they say, against the regime, but we support Judaism. But where do you find those who make the framework of the government of Israel? Unless we give the knowledge to both sides, that they can bring a point of understanding, there is no need here have the same knowledge, same technology, the same understanding of transmutation. So what do? This position has become easy for us due to 5+1 talks that we have managed to break through. But our job is to be peacemakers by understanding of the technology, not by giving technology to somebody better than the other. When the Americans, the Iranians, the Russians, they all know, they all can be across anywhere else. You can transmute all your, what we call dust to gold. What are we fighting for? Do we need the situation of Ukraine? Do we need the situation what we have in Palestine? Do we need to have the hungry people of Africa? Or do we change the tools of war by understanding the transmutation of the elements, what Christ went to as what I call his sacrifice, in a way, his theology behind it, through crucifixion and in manifestation, to feed the soul, to feed the physicality of the man in the hunger-driven society in Africa or South America, or on the streets of New York when they clean the bottom of the rubbish bins to find the scraps that they can. With the knowledge man has today, with what we see created and developed and encouraged by those who abuse the man of physicality, there should not be such a position. And the Keshe Foundation makes every endeavor to bring that situation to an end. We do everything in the background, even with our enemies not knowing, we elevate their souls, that they become those who work to develop, to to bring knowledge to the others. Within my power and knowledge, I can wipe out the state of Belgium in one pen. Potevi habita. Because they have to be elevated to understand. They are another part of the human race. Be it the king, be it his servants, be it those police officers who do all the wrong things, be it their agent who live within the same bed with us. We just elevate their souls. Otherwise, we can demolish them what we have from them. What is the love and the care we have for them? It does not matter what they do. What do you do when you have a child, when you take her out in the shop, cries and kicks and destroys things in the shop, like a bull in the china shop? You take her out, you talk to her, and then you see what damage you've done, what it needs to be done, how much I have to do to repair the damage you've done. You do that out of the love, not out of because I can bash your head in as a father. They do as we see in most of the Italian places. The children are not that, what I call punching bag, that the Italians do with the children and the rest of the world do with them. Our teaching is that loving care to bring man to the point to understand what not to do. It does not matter how much the child kicks and shouts and breaks. Gradually, it comes to understand he's damaging himself and nobody. I hope many of you manage to reach the point of resurrection. Maybe in theology, it's been put on the December Sunday, and it's the strangest that it always falls on a Sunday. And then we understand if man managed to control everything, it will be on a Sunday, as it happens, then man can manage to move that day to be the Sunday for his soul. I hope today I could bring you to understand a part of what is your responsibility to do, not ours. Because we done everything. We taught as much as we can. We carry on teaching you in different ways till we get through and you find the freedom. I don't live like a hermit, but I'm a hermit who gives love and knowledge to humanity today to elevate itself to the position of the understanding of the creation and the creator. I've been that hermit for thousands of years on this planet, and my mission is over because now we have managed to bring man to see. We might see some today and some next year and some next week and some in 1,000 years. But we have started the process. And in time, the knowledgeable man of earth, through the knowledge of the soul and physicality, will finish the job for human race and become messengers of the universe for others. Thank you very much for today. And I hope those of you who are believers in the resurrection of Christ understand you have the same capability as the soul of Christ did. You can resurrect and move in both dimensions. It's you who brings you to that point, and not a mag-grab, and not a donation, and not burning a candle, and not waiting for somebody to appear in the whatever name that they can fool you for the next job. Thank you very much, Rick. And I hope those of you who are believers in the power of Christ have a very peaceful and a wonderful Easter holidays, and maybe it becomes a time for you to contemplate, to create that change for yourself. Thank you very much. If you would like to go to a break and we come back and we carry on.
Okay, very good. Thank you, Mr. Kesh, once again for today's teaching. We'll be back in. Oops, a bit of feedback there. I'll just mute your. There we go.
I touched the wrong button.
Oops. Okay, we'll take a short break here with a few commercial messages from the products of the Kesh Foundation and the flight unit. And we'll be back for questions in the second part of the workshop.